Hey, Market Chameleons. How you doing, Dima?
Good morning, Will. How are you?
Great. Let me get the disclaimer up.
So
All
good
right.
morning, everyone. Before we get started, keep in mind, Will and I, Market Chameleon, we're not registered investment advisors. We're not broker dealers. We're not telling you what to do. We're just sharing ideas. If you need professional help, call your broker. That's what they're there for, to help answer your questions and provide you with guidance. There's the disclaimer.
Excellent.
Let's
So what are you
see.
seeing this morning, buddy, in the pre-market? Anything?
So, yeah, I think we'll take a look at first what's moving the pre-market. We talked about Tesla yesterday, their earnings. I think they're going to show up right now in a pre-market. They sold off, bounced back. And, I looked at it from the perspective of fundamentals. But let's see, the bigger story, the bigger picture behind it. And I'll explain to you what I mean as I go through it. We'll take a look at Snap. Also, you mentioned it, but let's just get kind of started. But these are the two, Snap, Tesla we'll mention. Maybe take a look at what's coming up on the earnings front. But we'll start out with stocks moving into pre-market hours. So this is the pre-market report. We got stocks that are most active, trading in pre-market hours, biggest percentage gainers, biggest percentage decliners. I'm going to use this filter to look at stocks that are higher market cap first. So market cap 20 billion or higher. And right now we got 53 that made the percentage gainers list, 19 on the percentage decliners list. So from this perspective, looks like a more bullish bias towards the opening. Couple up top here, Plug up 5.2%. Let me just see if I could see if there's any specific news. I don't see any specific news driving it, but I think, all these stocks sold off. They're coming back a little bit. Tesla up 3.4% in the pre-market hours. Of course, that's, sold off from its high. I think the high was like 900. Yesterday it sold down, it was in the mid or low 600s. It's back up above 700. So we'll take a look at that a little bit closer. Nothing else is kind of sticking out at me. Maybe PLTR up 2.8% on 2.4 million shares in the pre-market hour. In the pre-market hours. Let's do the unfiltered report really quickly, and I'm going to move on to Tesla. So here we just have some lower cap stocks, 56 million. Some of these are like rights. When you see a W, it's like a right, a unit moving into pre-market hours. Again, nothing right now is jumping out. I mean, that's unusual from what we see on a daily basis. So to save time, unless you have questions on the pre-market, I'll move on to Tesla.
Yeah, people are interested in Tesla, dude.
Okay. So yesterday, I think it was yesterday, right? We talked about Tesla.
It was
Right. So we looked at it from a fundamental perspective. So I'm just going to recap really quickly. We took a look at the fair value, and we saw that, well, if it comes back to its historical multiples, then we're looking at right now, we're at a 25% premium, right? So that's what we looked at. We're at a 25% premium. We also took a look at, well, let's just look at its fundamentals, really quickly and compare it to the rest of the market. So we said, okay, here's Tesla. This is their gross margins right now are 21% versus the S&P 500, 32%. So gross margins, they don't look, and I think that's just the case in the car manufacturing business. They're not that high, right? They do it on volume. So what this means is for every dollar of they sell, right, for every $1 that they sell in a car, it costs them about 80 cents to make. So they have like 20 cents left over, 21 cents left over. And that's to go towards their other expenses like administrative, marketing, all that. There are operating margins. So these are operating profits, and these are profits due to its core business, which is selling cars, right? So this doesn't include basically if they made investments somewhere like Bitcoin and made money, that doesn't include that. That's just coming directly from their core business. So we're seeing their operating profits 6%, SPY 12%. So that looks below the S&P 500. Net margins basically here, and we see they were losing money, losing. Now they came into profitability. Now they're eking out 2% net margins. In other words, every dollar that they sell, every car they sell, they receive whatever, $1. There's 2 cents left over for every dollar they sell to the shareholders, right? That's 2% net margins compared to the S&P 8%. So far right now, all we're doing is just kind of painting a fundamental picture of how does this compare to the S&P. Growth rates, that's important too. Well, how fast are they growing? Maybe we could settle for lower margins if they're growing their revenue really quickly. And that they have been executing pretty well, 28% in revenue growth last year. S&P 500 down 1% with the coronavirus. We see the 3-year average, 39% versus SPY 5%. 5-year average, they grew their revenue 51% on average year over year versus S&P 500 4%. So they beat them on there, but we do see that there's kind of a slowdown in the rate of growth right now. And that could be due to the coronavirus as well, right? So part of that is, they've been moving their manufacturing, stuff like that. This is the net income. So they've been losing money. They just started getting profitable. And operating income, as you can see here, they're losing money, started becoming profitable. So we took a look at all this, and here it's basically just the numbers alone, right, are telling us one story. So now let's take a little deeper. Well, why then? What's causing this catalyst? To go. First of all, to get such a high, price to sales, 24.5 book value. Why is it 25% premium? There might be something behind it. So I got curious myself, started searching, like, what are people looking at? Because it has to be more than cars, or it can't just be they're going to sell a lot more cars, because we see that the margins are not high. And even if they reach the same level as all the other car manufacturers, it still is not justifying it. So there has to be more behind it. And we know, like, okay, the CEO, he's innovative. What's he working on? Like, where is he taking this company? So I started looking at a couple things that actually I was like surprised myself that they're getting into. So one of the things, there are two things so I'll start with the minor one. And I didn't know this, but did you know they sell solar roofs? Well,
I did know that. I didn't know where the technology was, but I know they purchased that big solar publicly traded company that his cousins ran.
Right. So what's interesting about that is that not so much that they're selling solar roofs, because there's other people, but we know that Tesla is innovative and that they're just expanding into that energy sector, right? Like, so I think the thesis behind it is that Tesla is not just a car company; they're into the electrical or the energy space itself, right? Because they're innovating behind it, not like buying somebody's solar panels and installing them. Although they do that, they're getting into that space of more efficient, clean energy. So this was interesting, because I do remember that they bought a company. I think I do remember that, but now I'm like on their website and reading about these solar roofs. And when you read some of the investors, these are some of the things they're looking at, saying, well, if they're getting into this space and they're able to expand and do what they did in the car industry, that could be a potentially big revenue, money maker for them. The other thing I didn't know is, so I started reading even more about it, and they have this power pack. Did you know about this, Will?
The battery?
Yeah.
I know that a lot of the tech people when they talk about Tesla, it's this battery technology is so far advanced.
They're going to serve the utility industry, right? So these are commercial. This one is more for residential, right? This is just retail residential, but they are creating. I don't know how much revenue they're getting from, but what's interesting about it is it's the technology behind it. We're making it much more efficient with the way energy is being managed, right? The way you store the energy, the way you distribute it, the way so supposedly who are the big customers for this, like big utility companies?
I think utility companies probably, really wealthy homeowners, but yeah.
These are like things that when you take a look at the fundamentals, the point is, well, take a look deeper, like what do they have on the horizon that can change the story, right? And that's where I think people are starting to look at, and how much premium do you want to give that, right? But I think if you have Elon Musk behind it, you see the success, historically, big innovator. It's still in that energy space, and I think that's what's kind of driving that excitement behind the Tesla stock. So the point is,
your sound has gone staticky. Do you want to log back in?
Yeah, let me log out and come back in.
All right, great. Hey everyone, thanks for keeping up with the technology. We do have an issue right now. Dee's going to come back in. I haven't mentioned it in days, but if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. It's a big deal. You get alerted to all the new videos. Thumbs up are always appreciated. Pavel, we still haven't seen your pictures from Poland yet, your ski weekend. That'd be nice in the Discord. Anything people want to talk about with D when he comes back, just let me know. I see actually someone has mentioned Ebon. D, you back?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yep. Perfect.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Let me share my screen again. Yeah. So I think the point I was making prior to this is the following. We could look at the fundamentals. Sometimes they might look a little bit off, but you still need to kind of go in there and try to read the entire story, because the fundamentals will not tell you the entire story of the company and what they got going on going forward, right? That's the important part is, okay, here we see the fundamentals, we see where their valuation is. What do we think going forward? What is the story behind the company? And these are the things that are important, especially maybe you do see that it's trading at a premium. Perhaps it's justified, and you want to kind of investigate more. What do they have in their pipeline going forward? What are they doing to grow their business? And this is just some example. I'm just showing you how to dig deeper in there. And look, a lot of people are saying that this here, the power pack that or the market that they're targeting right now with this type of renewable energy is much bigger than the car market, right? So that's what they're claiming as well. If we did this in the car industry, which was kind of like a dead, that industry wasn't growing, right? For a long time, there wasn't that much excitement about it. If they did it there, they're going to target another industry which is much bigger than the car industry. And so far, that's what people are paying attention, and just wanted to bring that out. Let's come back to, if there are no questions on Tesla.
Well, there was a question. Someone was asking, are there any anything showing up in the trade cards? Someone was asking in Tesla.
So I'm just going to go over here really quickly to the summary page. And in the trade ideas, so this is using yesterday. We're not open yet. These are looking at yesterday's closing prices in the stock and options. The option market's not open yet, and these will change when the market opens, because obviously, the stock will be at a different price as well. But just looking at yesterday's, these are the things that popped up. long call, it's looking at the March 19th, 865 call. Well, now it's $6.30. We think it's worth $39.14 based on historical stock behavior with that's a 500% theoretical edge, historical probability of success 32%. Also found the Feb 26 660 call, $47.45. We think theoretically it's worth $56.79 based on historical stock behavior. That's a 19.7% theoretical edge, 51% historical probability of success. Let's take a look at maybe instead of a long call, something like a bull put spread or bull call spread. Yes, nothing in that popped up. So those are the top three. The other one was the straddle, the 700 straddle, March 12th. That's a movement in either direction, right? You're buying the call and buying the put, $83.90. We think theoretically it's worth $95.35 based on historical stock behavior. That's a 13.6% theoretical edge, historical probability of success, 42%. So that's really quickly just the top three by edge.
Very good. While you're on this page, we did have another Tesla question. There's two from Robert Black. He wants you to show him the process again to get the company link. So where you get the company link from this page.
So if you come down here on the left-hand side, there's a menu. You go to links. So over here, you got company website, investor relations, SEC website. So depending on what you're trying to find. So this is just the general company, right? They'll just take you to the company's website, and then you'll see what they sell. And when you're investing in a company, you should know their product, right? You should understand at least their product and believe in it. Think of it this. I'm going to come back to the Shark Tank kind of model. And what is the first thing that people pitch? It's not their financials. It's not their growth. The first thing they pitch is their product, right? This is what it does, right? Does it serve a purpose? Does it serve a utility? Does it solve a problem, right? So you should know the product. After they listen to what the product does and the details, then you get into, okay, well, how much have you sold? How much are you selling it for? And how much does it cost you to make, right? So you start going down that type of analysis. So here, company website, investor relations, you click on investor relations. There you could find things that are just they communicate to investors, like financial statements, important events, any type of things going on that will impact the stock price, perhaps. You'll find that in the investor relations. And sometimes you'll also get contact numbers. So if you have questions, call their investor relations. If you have certain questions about the stock, their dividend, when the earnings are coming up, those types of questions, you could call the investor relations. They should be able to help you there. These are SEC filings. So in the SEC filings, you click it. Also important because that's where they file the required statements. So you get, insider buys and sells, financial statements, press releases. They'll go into the 8K filings. So in here, you'll find, see, here's a 10K. That's a financial statement, 8K financial statement. So you could go in there, click it, open it up, and you got their, and then this is the SEC website, but you could go through it and read their financial statements, management discussions. These are important because this is kind of telling you, besides the numbers, the management is communicating to you what they think is important about the company and where the company is headed, right? Your outlook. So those are the important things. You want to go in there and you have those quick links to get you there. Is that helpful?
Yeah, no, that's Robert's super thankful. Someone else was asking when you were on the fundamentals tabs that their
Yeah.
fundamentals tabs were different. I know we go through this a lot, but
Yeah. So right now, all these fundamental tabs are still being developed. So as I'm testing it, I'm just kind of showing you, preparing you for what's coming. But these these will even look different the day you guys, when we push it out, and when you see it, they'll still look different because this isn't even the newest version that I'm looking on, but I'm just using it to kind of get you before we push it out. And I think the first batch, maybe the end of next week, you guys will start seeing some of these fundamentals. But at least you'll be used to seeing them. That's why I'm kind of just on a daily basis trying to reference them, and this way you'll understand what these metrics mean.
well, that's great because that was the next question was
The end
release.
of next week, huh?
That's great because the next question was when do you think the release date is?
Yeah, I'm hoping by, I'm hoping maybe next Friday or Thursday we'll start releasing the first batch that we go through, but we're still working out bugs, and I don't want to release it while we know of bugs that we're fixing. But
Very cool.
Yeah.
Jake actually just chimed in about Tesla, and he says there's tons of talks. It was Solar City was the company they acquired.
That's right, Solar City.
So Solar City's one, robo taxis. We talked about that the other day about their AI, the technology is supposed to be light years ahead of anyone else. I didn't know about this, but he's saying insurance. I mean, we all know they acquired some Bitcoins, maybe a Bitcoin play in there. So lots of stuff going on in Tesla. That's for sure.
Right. Lots of stuff going on in Tesla. And one thing is Tesla has kind of the same thing Apple has, right? When they create a new product, they've got the attention of the world, right? He comes out, he talks about a product, everybody's listening, right? It's much easier to pitch and market. And he's got that behind him. Not every company has that, right? So that has a lot of value too. People are paying attention. So it'll be interesting because you do kind of see, all right, well, where is he heading? What he might be thinking, and he's very concentrated on that energy space, which is a huge space, right? We need energy and transportation. And those are the two spaces kind of that right now looks like he's concentrating on. And that's obviously very important to the global economy.
Very cool.
Let's take a look at Snap. Snap was up 11% yesterday. So here's the one thing we wanted to mention about Snap. It was up 11%, and I think that they had a conference yesterday. Is that correct, Will?
Yeah, and it was down early in the morning, and then it finished up on the day. So it had a big
swing, but I think the market did that as well. So it kind of did the same thing as the market, but it was up still, a nice percentage.
Hey, D, unfortunately, your mic picked up a reverb again, and your sound. You're gonna have to log out and log back in.
All right, let me try that. Let me try it again.
All right. All right. As we lose D again, I don't know if anyone saw the Snap news yesterday, but supposedly the CEO said revenue could grow at 50% going forward, based on how they're monetizing the new app, or not even the new apps, but the apps. Anyone want to make any comments about Snap for Dimitri to look at? Please let me know. Again, thumbs up, follow us on YouTube, join the channel.
Well,
yeah, you're back.
Okay.
Perfect.
Let me see. So here in Snap, I'm just going to take a look at what happened yesterday. And we see that right here, we were trading over here. All of a sudden, we see a bunch of volume, and it started to spike up, then kind of just after that spike, just continued higher, right? So there was the initial spike. It went from, down on the day, really quickly came up over. It was down more than one standard deviation, and then it finished up more than one standard deviation. And the same thing at the same time happened in the options. So this is the volume in a stock. Then you see the volume in the options. 75% of them were calls, 25% put, but we could kind of see where that happened. And I think the important thing I wanted to mention here is that they did have an event, company event. Let me see here. So they had a company event yesterday, Virtual Investor Day, February 23rd. And when we mark these events, it's important because a lot of times people usually just look at earnings, because earnings, obviously, that will be a binary event. But even when the companies have other conferences, you have the CEOs that could be talking, CFO, and they could mention something that is important, will get investors excited, and that could be a catalyst. Not always, but it's a potential catalyst event. So over here, I'm on the options chain, and this is why we mark it. We mark here, there's an expected earnings, June, so if there's an expected earnings or confirmed earnings, we'll mark that on the options chain to watch out, because the stock can move. And when you're looking at options and volatility, that's important, right? A stock movement in options is important. And here's just an example, a company event. I'm not saying it will move on the company event, but there's a potential. So I'm just hovering over here, and we see April 20th to 23rd, we're expecting the next earnings. There is a company event, some partner summit, May 20th, 2021. You might want to find out about that summit. Again, that could be a potential catalyst for a move up or down, but a lot of times they may say something positive about what the company's doing, what they're seeing, potential products. And it seems like they did say something about advertising, right? Well, let's just hover over really quickly. I'm just going to see.
Yeah, well, advertising's the driver for their 50% revenue growth, in their opinion.
Right. So we see here, some headline news here, expecting years of 50% revenue growth, right? So obviously they did say something yesterday, and it was a big impact on the stock price. Just wanted to make the point that not only earnings are important, but there are things going on in between earnings that we might be able to tell is coming up that can move that stock. So just wanted to bring that up. And you said it was something that they're experimenting with other ways of driving ad revenue.
Yeah, well, I was unaware they have some sort of augmented reality, which is driving revenue growth, something within the camera, and then an interaction with actual advertisers where they can log in and kind of monitor what they're doing, and it's driving revenue growth. So makes me want to check out the app. I am not on the app. So
that's one I've never used. I know people who used it and stopped using it. So it's the growth here is, let me just take a look at it. It's amazing, because what is in the last year, 300%, it's up. 6 months, over 200%. So you could see here that, a lot of excitement, 2 week, definitely outperforming the S&P 500. And again, here's some Pinterest, Facebook, some competitors over there. So
yeah, and they're figuring out ways to monetize their eyeballs, right? Which is the name of the game. I mean, it feels to me like Twitter, as strong as it's been in viewers and users, it doesn't seem to be able to monetize revenue growth. But
yeah, and I think with Twitter, I think their model is more of they're targeting big advertisers, right? You would have to be a big corporation almost to advertise on Twitter. And Facebook, I think, was pretty good at just taking somebody who wants to try an ad for like $10, or $5, and it's there's a difference with that. But yeah, I think Facebook did a pretty good job at monetizing. Let's just compare really quickly. We only have a minute left, but let's just take a look at Facebook. So here's its gross margins, 81%, operating margins, 38%, net margins, 34%. I mean, that's spectacular. You don't see that unless it's like, maybe Microsoft or something in the software, but like their margins are incredible. Here's Twitter's. So their gross margins are pretty good. I mean, actually.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Huh? So yeah, but their operating margins are not. But yeah, their gross margins are not that bad. So we'll see. Maybe they'll be able to catch up to Facebook.
Another great show, Dima. Awesome job. Thanks so much, buddy.
Thanks, everyone. Have a stay safe. Have a good trading.